Hey guys, one final video on the Cylon voice project to throw in some information that I have rounded up that didn't make it into the other 6 videos. I wasn't quite getting the tones that I wanted to get, having all of the correct gear. So I asked my contact for clarification. I said, which EQ did your console and Universal Studios have back in 1978? The Electrodyne 2 band, 511, or the 9 band graphic EQ, which I previously mentioned. And he said they had 511s, almost all channels. Channels 23 and 24 were the graphics. And I said to myself, if I wanted to make a voice as clear and intelligible as possible, I would definitely be using a 9-band graphic EQ. And it turns out that is where all the mojo, all the magic happens for the Cylon voice. I managed to shake some trees and got myself a equivalent set of the Sphere 900 equalizers. They bought the company. They added an additional band of frequencies to choose from via selector button, but other than that, it's the same inductor-based EQs. Going to have some more audio examples for you at the end of this video, but that is the whole formula, is the ARP 2500, the EMS 1000 or 2000 vocoder. I have a 2000, they used a 1000. Electrodyne 9-band graphic EQs. I've been trying for about 2 years to replicate that sound, and there's just nothing that sounds like these EQs. They're so weird. Depending on the input gain, they overdrive like a tube preamp. It's a very weird sound. My contact said it could have been the Lang PEQ3, which is a console-mounted version of this. I gave one a try, very nice mojo, but you can't carve up the oscillator the way it needs to be done. Pultec EQP1A3, which they had, this came out way back in the day. And I think 1951 is when the first version came out. And it does add a nice harmonic saturation to the vocal, but that was not what they use. It's definitely the 9-band graphic EQ. So the voice actor was not known. I'll read you this email. He said, "We received the lines to process on a 7-inch reel, full track with NagraSync. There was never a name on it, so I'm afraid I can't help you there. We processed it and sent it back to editorial on 35mm magnetic full stripe for cutting into the show with a safety edited onto a 10.5-inch reel with paper leader." That's the other magic piece, is the 35mm magnetic tape recorder. That's the fattest tape medium known to man. The metal oxide on the tape is so thick, the signal to noise ratio is so big, you can just record hot levels, you don't get tape bleed through. And full stripe, that's probably over an inch, maybe closer to 1.5 inches. There is some artifacts that happen on some of the scenes where, because the tape head is so wide, it's passing over the tape head. If there's any variation, it's not 1000% 90 degrees going across the tape head. There's phasing that happens. And there's a few scenes where you definitely hear this kind of smear, shadowy phase thing that is probably not from the Countryman phase shifter. It's just an artifact.
How many warriors, nearly their full complement of warriors, see that the humans remain entertained until the end, then they will be yours in the lower chambers.
So they recorded direct to 35mm. That got plugged into another console and EQ'd and inserted back into the show for post-production equalizing. So 2 trips at a minimum to the fattest tape medium known to man. No Marshall time modulator was used, hadn't quite been invented yet. No ring modulator. That's a very good educated guess. The oscillator is such a weird sound, and you can't imagine what it sounds like when you're hearing the pre or the post vocoder, version with the words on it. It's all on the oscillator. There was no guitar amplifier or pedals used. They floated the idea, but never did it. They didn't need to it. These inductor-based EQs provide this weird saturation and harmonic distortion that gives the Cylon voice its weird sound. That's not just a buzzy synth vocoder sound. It's like this other fuzzy harmonic thing in conjunction with the tape saturation, tape compression. There's several layers of it. Each Cylon voice recording is like its own masterful classic rock recording. Like, you could never make your band sound like a Jimi Hendrix record unless you had all that old gear. It's more than just EQs. It's all the circuits, the preamps, the tape style. And the final words from my contact, where I said, I've tried every analog, or I've tried every digital vocoder since the mid-1990s, and none of them can hold a candle. The VCAs, they don't have the dynamic response. They don't sound the same. They're very weak and thin and anemic sounding. And he said, it's got to be analog. So the reason that Cylon voice is so unique and so weird is it was a very specific sequence of gear from a old time period. This was 42 years ago, and software just can't do it. You can do all these great things with software, surgical precision, EQ things. You can do, all this new forms of synthesis like granular and things. They're very advanced already. They've been around, but they're just worlds apart. So we just want to preserve that sound and appreciate it and know where it came from and not have it be a complete mystery for the rest of eternity. So I had a lot of fun doing this. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed my video series. And now this won't disappear into the secrets of the universe like how they made the Egyptian pyramids. It's like now it's known. So I'm glad I was perseverant and stuck through and was able to bring all this information to you guys. Let's take a listen to some demos.
Colonial Viperian Quadrant intercepting. Stand by to attack. Group 3, Vectors 1, 7, and 28, arm and attack Atlantia. Atlantia Death Squadron, attack by your command. All base ships are now in range to attack the colonies. Our forces have taken prisoners near the space drome. They tell of survivors who escaped in ships. The information is not complete. It is offered in exchange for life extermination.